in accordance with the governor's order suspending provisions of the open law relating to the 2020 novel coronavirus. This November 4th meeting is a 7 o'clock public meeting of the Conservation Commission, but it's physically closed to the public to avoid group congregation. Alternative public access to this meeting shall be utilizing the Zoom virtual meeting software, which you can get off the town website and connect into us. And if you need to ask a question, please raise your hand and we will recognize you. And this meeting will be is being recorded and audio taped by Norfolk Community Television, and will be available to see on their station within a day or two. So why don't we go ahead and start with the MBTA. Who's here?
Yes, good evening. And thank you for having us today. This is Clary Kutu. For the record, I'm Director of Environmental Compliance for Keolis. We're presenting today the request for determination of applicability for the renewal of the Vegetation Management Plan for 2021 through 2025. As you are very well aware, this is a 5-year permit renewal under DAR, the Department of Agricultural Resources. We're here before you to present the maps and discuss with you the determination of jurisdictional resource areas along the right-of-way. Currently, you have approximately 2 miles of track within your town, of which 3/4 of a mile are buffer zone and riverfront, and they're limited spray zones of an interval of 1 year. And we have at least less than 1/10 of a mile of no spray, which is the conveyance structure to allow surface water from one of the streams that crosses under the tracks. So that being said, just as a matter of law, we are requesting a negative determination tonight, similar to the same that you issued back in 2015. A -5 was what you issued in 2015, I believe. So with that being said, Matt Donovan from FDCE is present, as well as Tess Paganelli from MBTA with me today. So I'm just gonna pass the baton to Matt. Maybe he can share his screen with the map, and I'll be making myself available for questions.
Hello, everyone. This is Matt Donovan from FDC Engineers, representing Keolis. So this is our vegetation management website for Keolis. The vegetation management plan can be found on here, the maps for all the different towns that the railroad runs through, and the yearly operational plans. So I have pulled up your map that goes through Norfolk. So this was submitted to your town as required by CMR 11 and specific sections of CMR 10, which require us to submit the delineated maps to confirm the resource boundaries are accurately depicted. This is part of the 5-year vegetation management plan that's currently under review by the Department of Agricultural Resources. As part of the 5-year vegetation management plan, your commission, the Board of Health, the Board of Selectmen, and the Department of Agricultural Resources are supplied annually with the yearly operational plan, which is always consistent with the 5-year plan and goes into a little more detail about the vegetation management activities for each year. The vegetation management plan currently under review includes an integrated vegetation management approach where a chemical application as well as physical and mechanical methods are used to combat the vegetation. Best management practices are used throughout this plan in an effort to limit the chemical application, which has been an objective of Keolis. The maps we provided you with are mainly made for the chemical portion of the plan. I can confirm these maps are checked every year for any changes, but I can confirm that these are the same maps that your commission approved in 2015. As you can see, there are areas that are depicted as limited and no spray zones based on the blue and the yellow colors. These delineations are delineated as allowed by the CMR 11.04, and that can be found in section 8 of our vegetation management plan, how these areas are delineated as they should be with the required setbacks.
Excuse me, could you blow up the map a little bit so we can take a closer look at it?
Yep. So,
Okay, because we'll have a question for you.
right. Yeah. So I do know what question is coming, and we do have an answer for that. But I can keep going with
Sure,
a
please.
little process of the work. So in the field, the railroad tracks are marked with the same color coded system as you see on the maps, and the locations correspond to the same location as you see on the maps. So there's a spray truck who's certified and licensed to do this work in the state of Massachusetts, and they are accompanied with an environmental monitor who is a direct employee of Keolis's environmental team. They'll be in the truck working with the operator as necessary to get this work done, and they will always have these maps on hand when they perform this application. Most importantly, the yellow zones will never receive any form of application outside of the track structure itself, which is federally required to keep free of vegetation with no alternatives. In the blue zones, these are sprayed no more than what the interval allows. So if it's a light blue zone, it's a one every year. And if it's a dark blue zone, it's every 2 years. So in these areas, they'll never be sprayed more than allowed. And they're really only sprayed beyond the track structure on an as needed basis. So if these areas need the chemical application every 2 years, they'll get it, but more of an effort is put into physical and mechanical methods in these zones due to the proximity of the sensitive areas and being able to reduce the chemical with the mechanical control in these areas. So in 2015, like Clary said, you gave us a -5 determination, which is what we were seeking again this year. And Dave, I know, so to address the, I guess I can open the floor up to the commission
Okay.
with any questions or comments.
Yeah, the first one is, and because it's a resident and she's on the meeting, 339 Main Street.
Mhm.
They have a well and it's not listed.
Right. So yeah, in this area, it's the house you're mentioning is like right in this area. So it's a dark blue zone. This would be accurately depicted if the well is 50 or more feet away, 50 to 100 feet away from the track. But it's really close to being on that line. And the reason it's not in this is because it was new in 2018, and we did get the list of all the wells along the right of way from the Department of Agricultural Resources, and that wasn't on it yet. So it should be, and I think they get it from the Board of Health from your town, but it's not currently on that list. But so really, if it's right on the edge of being 50 feet from the track, so we can put a yellow zone for that. It'll only be for like 50 to 100 feet along the track that it would be a yellow zone right in this area, and we can do that. And I don't think that should stop us from being able to get a determination tonight. I can make that change pretty easily and mark it in the field that way as well.
Okay, Barbie?
Sorry. Yes, sir.
Yes. Do you know how far your well is from the tracks?
Thankfully, we were able to get the plans from the health department and from the NFNYNH and HRR, the railroad abbreviation. It is 21.7 feet to our well.
So that would categorize that area. So what we would do is we would mark that area adjacent to your property where Matt is putting his cursor. So along that track line will be yellow. So on one side of the track adjacent to your property, it would be yellow. To the other side, it would stay dark blue. So it would be 100 feet from the plans that you gave us are important because we will take that delineation that they have there and the markers that they have and use it as a marker for this zone. And those will be in the interim sprayed on the tracks, so that next year when the pre-emergent goes out, it is predisposed on the tracks as a yellow zone for that particular side of the track.
Okay. Barbie?
Just to clarify, when you're saying sprayed on the track, so you're talking about the marker to identify that it's a yellow zone or the chemical to prevent the growth?
So the markers, the spray that we will be marking on the rail will be a yellow spray to mark that area.
Okay, perfect.
Because
Thank
it
you.
currently doesn't have, no, it currently doesn't have that marking. However, it is important that you know that the roadbed itself will always be sprayed in this area on a full low stream horizontal to the roadbed alone, to the track structure alone. Okay.
Do any of the commissioners have some questions? Comments?
I do, David. Around 25, there's appears to be a body of water that it's going over, but that's not yellow at all.
So in that case, I can't say for sure in this situation without seeing what's actually there, but typically the roadbed is so wide in areas like this where water does cross. So there could just be an extra long culvert there where the water is kept more than 100 feet away from the track.
I don't think so. That's a pond. It's City
Right.
Hall Pond, and it abuts the railroad tracks.
So I think, Matt, this should have been corrected in the last review of the map. Again, I don't have any reason why we shouldn't review the Mass GIS layers for this area and see the conveyance structure here, and I can actually commit to if it is a conveyance structure and the water is in fact what it's shown here to be, that should be similar to other locations, a yellow zone. So we can go into the field and mark that as well within the setbacks, delineations under the CMR 11. So I think that's a good point. This should have been corrected previously. And I believe the markers on the ground are as such. So good point. We should make that correction, Matt.
Yes. Okay. And just to put your mind at ease, the applicator is trained to do this work, and any visible open water would never be sprayed. No application in those areas.
Right. So
I would assume that would be pretty visible.
Right, and I think that's exactly what Dan, the environmental monitor highlighted that area in previous maps to be marked off. So I think it's an easy correction for us to do.
Now, the other thing that I don't see in the application is the type of herbicide that you're going to be using. And I know there's a lot of more natural type of herbicide than that we could use, because even though you can see the distance from the water is still going to travel and permeate the track, because a lot of the track structure itself is permeable material on the edges, so we don't end up with a lot of water permeating the track bed. So that's something of some concern in those areas, because the water is definitely going to migrate over time anyway. I do understand the great concern to keep the vegetation off the tracks, because it is a danger to the braking systems for having foliage on the tracks.
So,
but at the same time, we want to make sure that we as a commission, protect our due diligence to make sure that, the type of chemicals that are sprayed on there. I mean, I use just vinegar, salt, and dish detergent to kill the weeds. And that would have very negligible effect on, the groundwater and be, treated very, very quickly in a groundwater application. So we wouldn't have so much of a damage as opposed to some of the more commercial, grade herbicides that are going to actually stay in the topsoil and negate any growth for a year or two. So my then other question, follow-up kind is if you had determined to use a chemical that would have stopped the growth of the plants for a year or two, because it's a heavier herbicide, if we go to this other herbicide that is more contact to leaf growth and has to be applied a couple of times a year, is that something that you need to put in your NOI so that, we don't have an issue with you going out twice a year as opposed to once a year if you change type of herbicide that you use in different sections of the track?
Okay, so Matt, I'll take this one. So let me go for the first question, Mr. Wilson, and I am very much aligned to your thought process as an environmental scientist myself. And that is why most of the time we prefer to use mechanical means. The only time that we can spray any area is within a certain setback, and we cannot get close to any areas within 10 feet of a surface water. Usually we take precautions, and by we, I mean my team and I. My team are the ones who go on the high rail with the certified applicator. The best management practice is that unless it is absolutely dry and or we are within 10, 25, and sometimes we even stop the truck even beforehand, we will only spray the track bed. If we see any areas that are wet or that are marked as yellow zones that are not to be sprayed, those areas would never be sprayed. Now, in terms of the chemicals that we use, unfortunately, it would be my preference to use more
Natural.
it's not even natural. It's in Europe, they have changed significantly the use of Roundup and the use of chemicals. Unfortunately, we are a little bit lag behind in the US in approving certain chemicals. And the reason is there's multiple reasons for this. And there's a lot of information on the website. So what I would like Matt to do is actually send Amy and Janet the links for you folks to see and read the case studies that are posted on MassDAR's website. We are only allowed to use the sensitive area materials list that has been approved by the state, even above MDAR. When there is, and if there is a particular request for any kind of chemical to be used, it has to go through an extensive review process with the board at the state level. And then MDAR has to go through an extensive process as well for the approval of it. That is something that we have tried over the last few years to do. Actually, 3 years ago, we tried trying to mimic, the best management practices employed in Europe, and my colleagues in Europe under Keolis International. However, just as a point of reference, I think it's important that you read on the types of chemicals that we use and how these, the fate, if you will, of these when they're used on the sites. As a best management practice, I can also say, Mr. Wilson, that we will never spray areas that have been worked on. For example, if we have replaced recently within a year or two, 24 months, our rail ties, there is no need for us to spray that area, so we will not spray. If there is any particular area where we would most benefit from using mechanical and hand tool means, we will prefer to do that. The only structure that we cannot use mechanical tools because it is completely unfeasible unless we hand pick all the weeds from the ballast, because the ballast is about an inch of stone, layered stone and compacted stone. That's the only area within the track bed that we will always have to spray unless, again, it is within 10 feet of a surface water. It is within an open deck bridge or adjacent to any yellow zones that would most definitely be impacted. So the track bed itself will always be sprayed unless it's within that 10 feet distance or an open deck. Does that answer your questions?
Yeah, yes, it does. Thank you.
Yeah,
You're
nice
welcome.
clarification. Any other commissioners? I guess I look at this and yeah, everything is kind of straightforward, but I think we'd like to see the map changed, the colors, before we approve this. So that it's on record of what we talked about with the well on 339 Main Street and the other water areas.
Fair enough, Mr. Chairman. A question then would be, we would not close today the hearing, we would continue it. Is that what you are
Yeah, we
requesting?
would continue it till December and then it should be just a matter of fact. We'll just, and you don't necessarily have to be at our meeting. We can review the things and if there's questions, we'll get a hold of you ahead of time, but we could close it and vote on it at the December meeting.
Okay, and Janet and Amy both have our information, so we'll work on that. So just to make a clarification, if we go back to the maps, Matt, I want to make sure we're clear on the expectation of the board. Commission members, I'm sorry. So we're going to look into the field, the existing markers here, and make sure that these are delineated between milepost 25, and it would be, it looks like probably 200 feet on both sides or maybe less, but we would need to do that on site, Matt. So we would need to go out there with the IRNR crew to do that. And at the same time, 339, the well is around that area as well. Right? Okay.
Yep, and I think that's the only two areas that we've mentioned, but that is, we can definitely set that up and get that
Okay.
over to the commission.
Okay.
Excuse me,
is
Mr. Chairman.
what's the question?
There was a question from the audience. I didn't
Yeah, I
know.
was just gonna ask, first,
sorry.
any other commissioners? Do you have any questions, comments? Then, okay, have the audience.
Be Sandy Myatt.
Hi,
Hi, Sandy.
I had one question. So at 339 Main Street, you mentioned that you're only going to do one side of the track with the yellow, and because her well is within 21 feet away, what is the rule on that?
The
Why wouldn't you mark the other side of the track yellow too?
because it is adjacent to her property line on that side. The well is on that side of the track structure. If the well would have been on the other side, it would have been just that side yellow.
So what
Those
is
are
the
the
distance away
setbacks.
from the well though?
So within
Is it
50
50
feet,
feet?
it falls within 50 feet. So that area adjacent to the well would be a yellow zone.
So the other side of the track is likely within 50 feet of her well too,
But there is no well on the other side of the track.
but her well is within 50 feet of the other side of the track, isn't it?
No, the way the setbacks are is where the structure, whether it's a vernal pool, stream, that the setbacks start where that structure is, or that asset, or that resource. And then we would determine if it's within 50 feet to 100 feet. In this case, within 50 feet, it's less than 50 feet. So the entire area along that track would be a yellow zone.
But only on one
We can,
side.
right, we can also look at it from the perspective of the approved setbacks of CMR 11.
So are you saying, so I'm only curious because you said it's within 50 feet and she
Right.
said her well was only 21 feet away.
Right, exactly. So her well falls within that setback threshold.
I guess
that-
maybe what Sandy's asking is, on the side that's not going to be yellow, it's still within the 50 feet of the well.
Oh, I see what
Do
you're
you have
asking. Okay.
migration, do you have migration of the chemicals into her well underground?
That's what I'm asking.
Right, so it doesn't mean, like, for example, it doesn't mean that 100 feet from the distance of that well, everything across the entire scope and span would be yellow. It's within the setback of that particular well. It meets the threshold of within that
Right.
50 feet.
May I
Okay.
ask a question?
Yes, please.
How wide are the railroad tracks?
It varies. I wish I could tell you that the easements or the property lines are similar to utility lines where there's a specific, width. But, it varies significantly between one city and one town. Within one town, it may vary significantly as well.
Of course. So I guess it would be easiest to say, and especially for my comfort, considering I am drinking this and my children will be drinking this water. If when you are going to make the marker, if you do see that from the well, you measure out 50 feet and it does cross to the
Mhm.
other side, then that would then be marked yellow on that side as well?
Correct. So that's why we have to
Okay.
go out there with it, with the INR crew. And yes, correct.
Okay, perfect. I
Well,
thank
we
you
will
all for
follow-
asking those questions.
No, and we
just
will
wanna get it
follow the
clarified.
setbacks. Yes, we will follow the setbacks as allowed under the regulatory jurisdiction, which is NDAR.
Perfect.
But, I think that is what we'll do is we'll go out, we'll mark it out, and we'll take pictures. And then, forward those to Janet and Amy so that it becomes a record for the next meeting.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Identify yourself, please.
Eric Diamond.
Yes, Eric.
Hi. So my question is, there seems to be very few private wells that are labeled on those two Norfolk exhibits, and they vary from 52 feet, I think I saw at 327 Main, up to over 100 feet they show. But there's way, way more wells than that. Why are these specific ones shown, and why aren't all wells shown?
And that's a very good question, Mr. Diamond, because the listing of the wells are registered in your town with the Board of Health. That's why we're having these meetings with you, because unless, like Ms. Rodriguez brought it to our attention, unless the Board of Health has not issued this to the state and is not registered properly within the state, we would not know. So every year, the commission, the Board of Health, the Board of Selectmen, and town administrators receive the yearly operating plan for the railroad. And within that yearly operating plan, it's very clear if there are any new private wells that need to be incorporated into these maps, we have time to do that. There's 45-day comment period every year, Mr. Diamond, so that your commission, the public can correct us, because
Okay,
that's the intent. So,
So
you know,
there's
I'm
a
not
lot of
sure.
wells that really need to be shown, and mine
So-
is there and needs to be shown.
So I think what we need to do, what I would like to request you to do, Mr. Diamond, which I've actually met you a couple of times on other matters on the Franklin double track. What we need to do is make sure that the Board of Health of your town has properly registered all these wells, and all these wells have been properly registered with the state and DAR. But in the time being, because that always takes time, I would not, you know, if you do have any information that we need to consider, just like Ms. Rodriguez brought it to our attention, I ask you to send as much information as you have on all these private wells now, so that we can incorporate those. into
okay,
the
well, I
maps.
think the commission will take that as an action item. Amy, if you would work with the Board of Health
Mhm.
and look at the properties that butt the tracks and identify where all the wells are and ask her those questions. Have they all been submitted to the state for record?
Okay,
And
then
if
that
you
way
do
we can
have
it in
any,
all one
Mr.
bunch and
Chairman,
do it according to the maps that the town uses, and we can check out who owns what property, and even have to make phone calls if we have to, just to.
right,
make
and
sure we got the
and I would prefer, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, I would prefer we continue this until we have clear, clear documentation that, I don't want us to approve or close this hearing until we're clear on how many private wells are out there within that stretch. So
Okay,
even if we need to take this into January, I much prefer to have it done now. That way, you know, when we come back every year, we know exactly what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
That's why it's really important when we come to your commissions every year with the yearly operating plan, that, you know, commissions and Board of Health communicate with each other. But in the time being, I think, you know, I think maybe, Matt, what we should do, because if we go out there with the INR crew, I want to use their time efficiently. Maybe what we should do is wait for Amy and Janet to get back to us with additional information. And then when we go out there, we can make the markings accurately.
Will
yeah.
you show all the
kind of-
wells on the track charts, or is it only the exhibit that's the whole town divided in two on 8.5 by 11?
I'm sorry, Mr. Diamond, what?
Can you show the actual wells on the track charts and show them to scale rather than the 1 to 1,000 scale?
I guess for the exercise, when we come before you, we can do that. We can, but I think right now we need to take one step at a time. We need to figure out where these wells are and the distance between the track structure and the setbacks for them. And then we can, you know, map them out so that they're accurately depicted.
Right. It would just be nice to see it in the actual enlarged view rather than zoomed out to the whole scale, the whole town.
Okay, we'll work on that. That's the commission's job to deal with the applicant and discuss what we want from them for the meeting. Based on that, I will ask for a continuance of the public hearing for the Keolis commuter services. Until January.
David,
Yes,
it looks like we did have another question from the public. I don't know if you're
okay,
Open.
I can't see.
from Karen McCabe.
Yes, I had a question just on that chart by number 24. Similar question that Mr. Wilson had. It looks like the blue part is going over water. I don't know why it wouldn't have yellow like Mr. Wilson asked for 25.
It must be the setback on the ground is beyond, are you saying where the vernal pool is?
Yeah,
Well, it is yellow.
oh,
Right.
It's
So
yellow
I think
it's
I think
yellow
where
for
it's yellow
just
is-
one edge of it. It looks a lot big. It should be, it looks to me bigger, but again, this map's difficult.
Right. But we can take a look at that when we're out there as well. That was a good point.
Thank you.
David, if I could bring up one thing,
yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I noticed my mic was off, which I guess is good sometimes. But,
Oh, hi, Janet.
hi, how are you? The form here, though, all you did was check off whether the boundaries are accurate. I don't understand why you also didn't check off underneath on the form whether the work is subject to the act.
So,
And also, but I was seeing on the screen a little while ago where it looked like the vegetation management something or other, but I didn't get that with my copy of the request for determination. Did that come to the office?
so it's a link. It's a link, Janet, within the application. But we can send you a copy via PDF, but it's easy to access through the link, through the website. But if you want a PDF, we can send that to you as well. In terms of your first question, under the 333 CMR 11, we are required by law to submit to the towns the request for determination of applicabilities as it relates to the determination of wetlands and not necessarily the approval of the town for the work. So that, because the state approves under the VMP the work, we are obliged to come to you to do what we're doing tonight, review these maps, make sure that we're not missing any critical private wells or areas that might be of concern to the communities in particular that might not be reflected in the GIS layers or in this case in DAR's layer of private wells. Does that answer your question?
Yes, but also on the back page of the letter that we got from Tim Dermody was in the interest, in accordance, please considering the following negative determination on Form 2, number 2, the work described, but it wasn't checked off on the front of the form that you wanted the work to be considered or not. And then it's asking for certain exemptions. So the form we got was just for the boundaries of the resource areas, which is wonderful. We're getting through that now. But then they're asking for exemptions on the work, which wasn't marked off. So that's a little confusing. I understand.
Yes, yes. So you usually issue a negative determination. The areas that are dark blue and the areas that are yellow, for most part, the light blue are either buffer zones or riverfronts. The yellows are definitely water, surface water, close proximity to the tracks and no spray zones. So for your jurisdiction in the page 1 and page 2, what we're looking at is mostly riverfront, buffer zone, and wetland resource areas. The dark blue are public water supply,
Right.
zone 1s and zone 2s. And of course, the vernal pools, which are, protected under the Wetlands Protection Act. The public water supplies are protected under 310 CMR 22. Complicated, but I'm hoping I'm not confusing you more, Janet.
I think it's plus, being honest, which I am painfully so, but we got mail from MACC and I think, okay, and so you understand,
Mm-hmm.
and in the past, the last time we issued paperwork for this project, we did the 2 exemptions. So I just step away from it. I prepared both forms where one is just the boundaries and then the other one was with the exemptions, and I'll let the commission decide.
Right, and I think to all honesty, the MAC guidance is not a legal interpretation of the law. It's a guidance. The state of Massachusetts and EEO and DEP are working out what may happen to be in the next 5-year a change in how we interpret the law as it is today. My job is to ensure that you folks understand what we're doing and that you understand that we take this very seriously and that when we go out there, we're protecting the resource areas. How you wish to vote on that is up to the commissioners to decide.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, so we are continuing to January, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, we'll take a vote for that. And yeah, that should be enough time for us to gather the information on the wells and provide it back to you, and you can mark up your maps accordingly and then present it. So
Okay.
again, I ask for a motion to continue the hearing for Keolis commuter service, a request for determination until January 2021.
January 13th.
January 13th at 7 o'clock.
Alan Finney, I'll make a motion, so moved.
The second.
Alexandra Fair, second.
Okay, we'll take a roll call. Where am I? Jim?
Jim Wilson, aye.
Fred?
Fred LaBerge, aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Val?
Aye.
Alex?
Aye.
Dave Turry? Aye. Okay, it passes unanimously, and we'll see you in January.
All right, thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to switch over to recreation, and Will is on the phone. Rigdon is on the phone, who's the chairman of the Recreation Commission, and there's two issues that have been brought before us to discuss, and it's just a discussion at this point, but it's for information that we'll be needing in the next couple of months regarding the potential acquisition of the correctional land in the town of Norfolk. So, Will?
I'm here.
Okay,
Here we go.
all right. Thank you for coming, and I know there's two meetings going on tonight. Do you know the one at Freeman Kennedy School that Ann Proto wants discussed?
She's on the call. She could probably better speak to that.
Oh, I don't see her. Oh, there she is.
Hi. How are you?
Good, Ann.
So the land that I'd like conservation to consider is the land that abuts the fields along the far side of the Freeman Kennedy fields. Right now, we are, as you know, looking to obtain 43 acres surrounding Pond Street, which is wonderful. About 20 of that acres are wetlands, including the buffer zone. And I think when we say that we're in need of fields, because we have close to 1,000 people playing soccer a week, and some of those people even play more than once. So we have a lot of people in our fields, and we're constantly trying to maintain our fields to that level of play, and we are always behind the 8 ball. And then, so the most obvious place I think it would be to look at Pond Street, but we would like to look at locations that need the least amount of development. Pond Street does have, we believe it has areas to expand to, but the area that is at Freeman Kennedy now, that is currently school fields, the back of, I'm looking at a map, so I'm wondering if I can show you. The back field is long enough, but not wide enough.
There it is.
So don't know if this will work.
Let me,
Okay,
Competition of maps.
right. So if you're looking at this, the short end, where it says where if you look at the word conservation and you look at the N, that's the top corner, and then you go to the railroad tracks. So it's the shortest line.
can you all see that?
No.
No, I can't either. So I have a couple of things that were sent over to me. Do you want me to? It's not that drawing, but I can try.
Yeah, I actually have, you can try, go ahead.
Can you? I'm not sure if it's what you need to see though.
I have, let's see,
Put it
Does
up and
that-
share and let's see.
did that work? Can you see that?
No,
Are you
the
sharing?
wrong map,
No. Okay,
right? Yeah. That's Pond Street.
that's Pond, right.
Okay, is it the other map that came though?
I don't think so. I think that was the
No.
same map.
That's Pond Street, but that is I mean, that shows the area that we're hoping to purchase from the state.
Yeah, but let's stay on the school now.
Yeah.
I think we can.
You want me to
Yeah,
show it
there
on
is-
GIS, David?
What?
You want me to screen share? I could pull up the GIS and you can see it.
Oh, okay.
So I'm on my iPad. I am trying to share a
We can see
photograph.
that. We can see.
Can you see this?
Yep, we can see a United Consultants.
Yep, that's it.
page. Yep.
So looking at that, the line that is vertical with HT at the, little H and T marks along, that's the line that that where the grass stops and then continues. The line, the land on the other side, the last I checked, was deeded to conservation. And as I understand it, I looked into this a couple of years ago. As I understand it, the land was once MBTA land and they donated it to the town, to the Conservation Commission. So it was, as far as I know, it wasn't from anyone. It wasn't a gift or anything like that.
If
So-
that land though is wooded and vegetation, you would want to cut that down, correct?
Yes.
We can't allow you to do that. It's conservation land. You cannot destroy the vegetation on that land.
So a couple of questions. So I had, and probably incorrectly, I had been told at one point that if we traded land or could do something to, I don't know what the correct word is, to make up for the land that we're asking for. And so I'm wondering if that's a possibility. And then I guess one of the reasons I'm asking is because, in the past, conservation has taken, built a field and a playground at H. Olive Day School. So I guess I was thinking the precedent was there. I didn't realize.
It's
Couldn't
not
be that.
automatic. Janet?
Right, I understand. I
Yeah.
mean, that's why I'm asking. I didn't realize.
Yeah, Janet, can
So-
we swap land?
Um,
I know it's a process, but is it possible?
to switch off from conservation land, conservation has to approve it. That has to go- that
Janet,
has to go to town.
I
meeting.
can't, I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Janet.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Louder, yeah.
Yes? I don't yell. I get angry, but I don't yell. But conservation has to approve it. Am I any better, Ann? That's as close
Yeah.
as I can get. Okay. They would have to approve it. Then it has to go to town meeting. It has to pass the town meeting. I'm not sure if it has to be like a 2/3 vote. Then it's got to go up to the state house and get approved. And that's part of it too, where when you read about cases, sometimes it makes
Yep.
it better if you can swap off. Now, me being totally honest, And I even sent David off some pages from the handbook about this stuff, but part of me says it, and this is just, forgive me because I'm the tree hugger, but it makes sense personally to swap this off because number one, I'm not running over the tracks to get over to this land. It's right there next to the school. But it would be, you know, a lot of it too sometimes is coming up with something of equal or better value to trade it for. So that's something to think about. And I
So
can information on that too.
that would be great. So, so the biggest advantage I feel for this land is that in order to gain a full-size soccer field, which is a couple of acres, we would only need about a quarter of an acre tops of this land. So we would need a quarter of an acre, or it might be closer to, I'm sorry, it might be half an acre, close to half an acre, to build a 2-acre field because 2/3 of it is already there. So we need another soccer field. So if this would be the least invasive, because if we have to build it at Pond Street, 2 acres of trees are coming down and they're much larger trees. So I was thinking this was a good thing conservation wise, even though I do understand.
Okay.
But I can send her the pages that I sent you, David, from the handbook.
Okay.
Same information.
Okay. Do the commissioners have any questions on this discussion point?
I do, and I think this is kind of maybe a question for Rich. We've got people that have donated land for conservation purposes to the town. And we want to make sure that there's a difference from donating land to the town and donating land for pure conservation purpose. And we don't want to do is set a precedence where someone says, well, if the town is just going to end up turning it into something else, cutting down the trees anyway, what legacy benefit do I have? I might as well just sell it. Whereas if somebody's doing it for the pure heart of conservation, then I think we need to look at how it was deeded to us first to make sure that it wasn't just a land donation that could transfer it to conservation, or it was deeded for conservation purpose first. And I think I understand when people donate land, they want it for a particular reason, which is why they do it. Others do it because, you know, they gain a tax advantage from donating the land. But either way, if their main concern was that it stays conservation, then I don't want to be short-sighted, do something that's going to help us in the short term by, you know, easing the burden of some tree damage now, and then maybe negate gaining some important pieces of property in the future.
Yeah, so we could look back into the original intent of the gifting of land to the town. And
Okay.
I did look into that a while ago, and I would appreciate it if it was looked into again. I do remember it coming from the MBTA and not a private donor or a person.
So Rich, if you could research that and then send the information to Recreation and then also to Janet, and then the commissioners will get it. And then we can discuss it in a little more detail. And then I guess, you know, try to, well, what pieces of land you might want to swap for it. And we can discuss that. Do you think that'll be ready by December, Rich?
I have that in the office.
Oh, okay, the deed?
yeah,
The deed, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So why don't we continue this discussion, open discussion, in December, and we'll have more details on it. And I'm sure between now and then, you'll be talking with us, Ann. Or
Okay.
or both. Okay, let's jump to Pond Street. I think everybody knows about the prospect of the town acquiring 42 acres, or 43 plus or minus. Some of it is flat, dry land, and then there's a lot that is wetlands. And so just wanted to give the opportunity to Recreation to discuss that with us. But also at the town meeting, we've been asked to put a presentation together from the conservation side of it to help the CPC warrant article in purchasing this land. So that's the history of why I invited Will and Ann to that point. So if one of you would like to talk about Pond Street.
Yeah.
Amy, if you could put the map up that you had previously.
Yeah, so I'm happy to talk about it. So first, my name is Will. I don't know every one of you, so I really appreciate you having me here. I'm the chair of the Rec Commission here in town. So this piece of property that is under discussion has been something Recreation's been looking at for a while now. Without getting too into the weeds, we had an opportunity given to us by the state about, 10 years ago, something like that, to actually purchase this parcel at a discounted rate. And at that time, we elected to go with 5 acres. We took a look at that and we couldn't really come to terms with being able to do anything with that. So fast forward to 2018, I worked with Representative Dooley to go back to the state, and they were able to honor that same offer that stood back then. And we just recently had a bill passed up in the legislature through the State House, signed by the governor, to authorize the conveyance of the entire parcel to the town at a discounted rate, which I believe amounts to about $400 an acre. So the map up there, you can see the property. This is town of Norfolk, is the existing Pond Street Recreation Complex. And then that hatched area that's dashed in gray outside is the parcel that we would be acquiring under the warrant article, which is going to be on this fall's town meeting. So essentially what we're looking to do with Conservation Commission is twofold. We're obviously looking to expand the recreational opportunities that we can offer the town using this parcel. But while fields and those sorts of things are something we want to look at, we also feel there's a huge conservation value in the land, not only in preserving it, but in stuff such as trails and passive recreation, stuff that Conservation Commission has heralded over the years. And as Dave kind of alluded to, we would be definitely interested in working with you all in collaborating in this coming town meeting to make sure we have a good presentation to the town to make sure that we can alleviate any worries about what would actually occur with this parcel, which at this point, it's too early to tell exactly what we want to do with it. But like I said, we have some real good ideas for that.
Thank you, Will. Any questions from the commissioners?
Yeah, it's Fred. What is that parcel now? Is it all just woodland, woodlot?
So there is a second map, and I don't know if you have it or not, that indicates the wetlands that are present as well as the buffer zone. That one right there.
Yeah.
Can you blow that up, Amy? A little bit.
I'm not sure of the exact number, but I think and you can correct me if I'm wrong, something about around 20 acres was what we were thinking.
So Rich is on the call.
Oh yeah, there you are. Yep, sorry.
He had estimated the actual wetlands about 8 acres, and then with the buffer zone, it's about 20 acres. I mean, so it's about half.
Okay, thank you.
And so, yeah, I think it's worthwhile, since we're trying to be proactive in developing passive recreation in conservation land, that we could do something. So if there's no negative to it, the Conservation Commission, Janet and I will put together a presentation and kind of out and work with Rich and get some of these maps and outline them. Not that we can delineate exactly where trails would go, but we could talk about the amount of land that's there that's probably more in passive than active recreation, and then what our possibilities would be to do on the land, like walking trails and et cetera.
Mhm. When we did the open space and recreation plan, I think it was 2017, other than having a swimming pool in town, one of the top request was to have trails for bicycles, not motorbikes, bicycles.
Yeah, trail bikes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Without the motor.
Yep. In
Please
fact,
no motors.
yeah, as a side note, Lynn Farm has become a haven for that. And people come from all over Southeast Massachusetts to bike there. And
Yeah.
I talked with the gentleman from Norton that's been going there, and he's kind of prodding us to help improve on the maintenance. But he said, like tonight, yeah, there's a big bike event there that people are coming from all over and they'll trail it. And it's a nice long piece of trail that they can enjoy, and it's not too technical, meaning there's not a lot of rocks and climbing and stuff. So it's very encouraging, and because of COVID too, you see a lot more bikes even in Campbell Forest than you've seen before. So again,
One
I
of the
think
things,
that it's something positive for the community.
one of the things I would be interested in, a lot of times the places that have very active bicycle paths have people that are very good at biking and go pretty quickly, and but sometimes a beginner path for young children could be really beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay. Just making a note. Okay, is there any other comments, questions regarding this from the commission? From the audience?
Donna Jones?
Yes, Donna.
Hello. Just to be clear, I believe Ann was talking about bicycles, no motor.
Correct.
David was talking about mountain bikes.
Which are, yeah, no motors.
no motors, same thing.
But Ann first mentioned like the motorized vehicles.
No, I think it's a terminology, but I think we're all in agreement. It's mountain bikes is the proper term.
Yeah.
Acceptable.
No motors at all.
Yeah.
Second question, was Ann asking to swap some conservation at Pond Street, give that in order to take over conservation property at Boardman Street?
No, we haven't determined that, Donna.
I thought she was asking that.
No, there is possibly there is a swap, but they haven't identified what piece of property they would give us in trade.
We'd like to talk to conservation about what would benefit conservation.
We'd have to look at the maps of the town and decide, what areas would be good to, maybe they abut conservation already and it makes sense to just combine them, or it's a lot out by itself. But that's what needs to take place over the next, month or so. So then we can, if we have to, we can, and it goes forward, we could bring it to the spring town meeting and get a vote on it.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Donna. Any other comments from the audience or the commission? All right, I thank both Will and Ann for these 2 points. Is there anything else you'd like to talk to us about?
No, I'd just like to say thank you all. Really looking forward to making this a great collaboration. I think this will be a great thing for the town.
Okay, thank you both.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let's go on. 108 Rockwood Road. is the next thing on the agenda. Public hearing request for determination.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. In summary, what are you planning to do?
Just extend my driveway, make a little bit bigger parking pad up at the end of it for a couple more cars. I have a couple of teenagers, and just need more space. There's really just barely room to back out of the garage and not park any cars over there. And looking to make a couple extra parking spaces. So my existing driveway is at one level, and I have a yard that slopes off to one side that's I'm going to say about 3 or 4 feet below that. So I want to take a small area that's been staked off and bring some material in there and bring that up to the same grade, so that I can park a few more cars there, back around, be able to back out of the garage, have a couple of parking spots for my kids, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. There's some info missing from the notice of intent. Oh, excuse me. No, that's not you. But you're within the 50-foot buffer zone, correct?
Only part of it, I believe. Let's see, from the edge of my asphalt over to the buffer zone, over to the area in question, there's a seasonal drainage ditch that was put there when they built Rockwood Road. Instead of doing drainage, they just it was one of those spots where they just dumped it off to the side of the road, and there happened to be my yard there. So that's become a bit of a collection spot at times for water during the high water. And there's a trench that goes perpendicular to Rockwood Road out to a little stream out behind, out in the power lines, which eventually flows into the flows under the road, back under Rockwood Road, and up into the marsh down below. So I would say there is about 20 feet of that. I think it's a 50-foot setback from that drainage ditch, and it's a lawn. It's always been that way for as long as I've owned the property, and before that, I've owned the property for 5 years. So I have 20 feet there that I suppose does not need any approval or permission or anything like that, but I just wanted to bring it to the attention of the town. It's on the edge of it's right on the edge there. So I just want to make sure I'm not stepping on anybody's toes, so to speak. So I'm looking to take maybe another 10 feet of that in addition to the 20 feet that's outside of that 50-foot setback, and bring that up to grade. And there's another 40 feet or so of grass and lawn that's between where I want to finish bringing it up to grade and lawn for another 40 feet just in that one spot, although there's a couple acres of grass there that would be that is there before you hit the drainage ditch. So there's really no impact on it whatsoever. There's no filling of any wet area, no diversion of any stream or any drainage or anything like that. It's really just within that 50-foot spot that I'm looking to pad out 10 feet of that, I would say.
Okay. Commissioners? Questions, comments? We do hold these buffer zones very strongly. I mean, that's why we're here. Mm-hmm. And to not have a 50-foot buffer zone, I'm really not in favor of that at all, but it is a commission board. We can decide as a board. But I view this as that it is encroaching and you have enough land, you probably could rearrange how you want your driveway. I know it may not be exactly what you wanted, but you don't want conservation issues.
No, but again, I agree with that. That's for sure, which is why I'm here, because I didn't want to do something and then have issues later. It's not like it's wetland. It's just a spot where the water drains off the road and it pools up there until it dries out or enough is there that the overflow will drain down, just drain down that trench. And that trench is filled with trees, brush. And it's not like it's a stream. It's not even a seasonal stream. It's just an area where the water pools up, because when they built Rockwood Road, instead of doing drainage like you're supposed to do nowadays, whenever you build a subdivision road or whatever, they just pitched it off to the side of the road. It happened to be into my property,
Okay.
before I owned it, of course. So there's going to be no filling in of any area whatsoever. There's grass, there's lawn between, right now there's about 70 feet of lawn between the edge of the asphalt and this area that is nothing more than a contour in my property that runs right down the middle of my property that allows this drainage to just flow to the back of the property. And this won't even come near it or disturb it in any way.
Okay. Again, any questions?
I have one, Dave. Has Janet visited this property at all?
Yes.
Janet, what's your comments on this?
Okay. First of all, people call it a ditch. It's an intermittent stream. The pipe that you're talking about is right on the edge of your property. Yes, it hasn't been maintained. Yes, it's a disaster out there, but that's not on your property. And I can't.
No, actually it does. Actually, Janet, my property runs to the other side of the paddock, which is probably another 50 feet on the other side of it.
No, I know, but where that pipe, I'm gonna hold it up so I don't know if you can see me. Way down here at the bottom. Can you see
Yes.
it? Okay, that's where, I just lost me again.
Yeah.
But that's where the pipe is, and that's your property line there. So there's the pipe, and that's where it comes towards your property.
Yes.
Right, and then you've got the swale there, but right alongside it too, you also have a wetland area. And even when I was out there, whenever I was out there, October 20th or something, but you see wetland vegetation that's there. And I understand it's lawn right now. And in theory though, from where that ditch is over here to where your mitigation, plantings are along your driveway, that was the original 50-foot buffer, which was supposed to be a do not disturb. Some of those blueberry bushes have died. You replaced them with roses. And I have pictures. They won't show up because they're scrunched on the paper. But, my thing is, could you just pull that further away from that intermittent stream? That looks pretty wide out there. Could you just snuff it up closer to your driveway? Because you can loop in the back behind your woodshed. Then that puts you outside of that 50-foot buffer.
Well, I've got 20 feet there already, which would be about 10 feet of the rose beds, right? Which are the existing row beds, and then another maybe another 10 feet past that onto what's now existing lawn before you hit the edge of the 50 feet from that stream. Not like I said, it's not even a stream; it's just a drainage.
No, but the 50 feet goes from basically the edge of your driveway over to the stream. That's the whole 50 feet.
No, that's 70 feet. That's what I've measured is 70 feet.
Okay, but that's I'm going with the plan that was on file.
And what does that say?
when they built the house and did the mitigation. So that was my reference, is them showing 50 feet there.
Do you have that there anywhere that we can see?
I'm
Have
sorry?
it in the office?
No, on that plan, do you have that buffer zone? Yeah, but you know what, Janet, that as-built is not accurate. So they put in a proposal, whoever built this house put in a proposal for this house, and the driveway
I know that.
and the garage is not accurate to what is on file with the town as an as-built. It was
I know
never
that.
filed correctly.
Well, sometimes from where people start to where they end up, we'll issue people paperwork and they'll complete it, and then things happen in the meantime after that, That's
Well, for instance, it shows, I believe it shows no garage there
Right.
on the as-built, but there is a driveway there, and there actually is the asphalt that was built up. That was put on material that was brought in to bring that up to grade and pitch it just a little bit towards the street level.
Would it impact what you want to do to pull those stakes a little closer up towards your driveway?
Well, I already have 20 feet there that I can do, I guess without any special permission or anything, at least.
Well, in
from
theory,
the way I understand it. So all I'm asking for is 10 feet, really.
All right, I'll let the commission.
I'm sorry?
No. In theory, from the wetland and from the stream, actually it falls under state jurisdiction. 0 to 100 feet is the buffer. If you were outside 100 feet away, we have no jurisdiction.
Okay.
Okay.
So is it 50 feet or I guess I'm confused.
It's a 50-foot buffer zone.
I'm sorry?
It's a 50-foot buffer zone there.
All right, so if we go from the edge of the from that drainage ditch, which again is not wetlands, it's trees, it's dirt, it's just a swale with mature trees growing in it.
That's your opinion, sir. That's your opinion, that it's not wetlands.
All right, well,
we've been talking to our conservation woman, and she's telling us it is wetlands. It's a perennial stream. So I'm sorry to differ with what you're saying.
Vegetation is showing that.
I'm sorry?
The vegetation is showing that it's wetlands too, according to Janet.
Okay.
So,
well, all I'm saying is the only time what I mean by that is the only time that it's wet is when there's heavy rains, and when it comes out that drain pipe from across the street, and that goes completely under 115. It actually goes from the property across the street, goes under 115 over to my side of the road where it filters down. There's a low spot there. And when that fills up with runoff from the road and from the neighbor's yard, then it becomes wet. And then when it becomes in the springtime, I guess, when there's a lot of rain and the water level gets up a little bit higher, then it eventually makes its way out to the back along that swale to the back of the property. So it's wet, maybe, a very small percentage of the time throughout the year.
yeah, it's but seasonal, and that's, again, it's part of our concern. And that's why it was designated a buffer zone.
Okay.
To collect the water, no matter if it's, one time a year or a couple times a year or all year.
Exactly. No, I understand. You can't impede that, of course.
No.
And that's not what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to do is I have 20 feet from the edge of my driveway that I'm entitled to bring up to the level. And if I extend that another 10 feet so that I can actually back up and use that area as a place to back out of my garage and use as an area that I want to use, then for whatever reason I want to use it, I'm just looking for a relief of 10 feet off of that will have zero impact whatsoever on that drainage ditch. Doesn't even go near it, and that still leaves another 40 feet of lawn between the edge of where I'm proposing over to what is now a ditch.
Okay,
That's all.
thank you. Commissioners, discussion? Alex?
I just worry putting an impervious surface like a driveway within the 50-foot buffer zone. Even if it's only 10 feet within it, but it's still within it. I don't know.
Well,
That's just me.
then that will drain off onto the lawn and
No, okay, no, we're talking about it. She's talking to us commissioners.
oh, okay.
I worry that this is Fred, I worry that the construction itself might cause problems related to that outside that 40-foot buffer zone that he's talking about.
Yep.
In other words, when he's digging it up and filling it in to level it off, you know, there could be drainage problems as a result of that as well. So I'm agreeing with Ally.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good point, Fred.
Well, that, and, you know, to be confined, remember when we go from permeable soil or grass area to 100% non-permeable surface as a driveway within a 200-foot buffer area, it's going to impact the 0 to 50. So that's something that needs to be looked at with the design also, the amount of water flow coming off the amount of square footage of non-permeable surface now that would be increased.
Yeah.
Good point. Fred?
Nope.
Alan? Okay.
David, I'm sorry,
Yes,
quick
Janet.
question. Are you talking about paving, putting in gravel and paving it, or having it just gravel, or are you talking about paving the area?
You know, I hadn't really gotten that far on it, to be honest with you. You know, what's there now is paved, and I might want to pave it. But I might be fine with just leaving it as crushed gravel too. You know, the crushed gravel, I guess you would consider that as impervious, but you know, I hadn't really decided on that, to be honest with you, Janet.
Okay.
Okay, so we have in front of us a request for determination on 108 Rockwood Road. I'll entertain a motion in regard to this, if there's no other comments or questions from the commission or the audience.
I don't see any.
Yep.
Nope. No questions.
Okay. So, motion. Go ahead, Alexandra.
Well, what am I moving for?
Well,
Do we decide? I don't know if we decided.
I'll give you my opinion. I don't think we should allow it. That 50-foot is a substantial mark in the sand, I'll say, for a buffer zone. And with all the points that have been brought up, I don't think that, and with Jim's comments, if he does pave it, and even with crushed rock, what is the water flow going to be? And that could cause additional problems. And there is a drainage ditch there for a reason. There is drainage, as the applicant has said. I don't think we should touch that buffer zone at all.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. So we're moving to deny. Okay, I make a motion to deny the request for determination for 108 Rockwood Road.
I second.
Any further discussion from the commission? Okay, we'll take a roll call. Jim Wilson.
Aye.
Alex.
Aye.
Vale.
Aye.
Al.
Aye.
Fred.
Aye.
Dave Turi, aye. So it's been denied. And so you'll have to come up with different plans.
But within those, within 50, outside of that 50-foot area, I don't need any special permission from anyone, right?
Yes, you do. No, yes, he does, David.
Because, okay, I'm sorry, yeah, because it's.
Under state law, it's 0 to 100 feet.
Yeah.
Falls under state jurisdiction.
That
The
0 to 100 feet lands in the middle of my house.
Right on the edge of your house. Very good.
No, in the middle of my house.
I like to see more definitive plans on what he wants to do.
I think you guys should maybe take a ride over here and take a look before you blindly make a decision that impacts me in a negative way. I don't think it's right that you guys should make such a drastic decision like that without really knowing the facts, and you don't. The as-built that's on file with town isn't even correct.
And that's why we need definitive plans for what you want, sir. If
Well,
the as-bills aren't correct, then you have to prove that. We don't.
And then
Well,
that's why we have
don't have
Janet to
to,
go out and do the field visits.
I'm sorry?
And that's why we have Janet as our conservation agent, go to the properties and view it. And give us her input on this.
Okay, and Janet, you're saying that you believe that the 100 feet lands on the edge of my house?
That's what I wasn't out there measuring. What came in, what we had on file from the original plan shows the stream, the 50 foot, which came to the edge of where the inside towards your house side of the blueberry bushes and roses.
Yeah.
Okay, and then partway through your house is that 100-foot buffer. Actually, almost your whole lot falls under state jurisdiction. You cut a triangle out of the center of your house and your septic, that does not fall under conservation jurisdiction.
I could have what?
I don't even, if you look at your house, about this much of the middle of the house, a diamond shaped triangle, and through your septic to the street is the only part of your lot that doesn't fall under jurisdiction. You've got that stream on, if you're looking at the house on the left-hand side, you've got this stream ditch on the right-hand side. So your house is kind of wedged in the middle. So I don't know. Okay.
So I'm sorry. Okay, so what are you saying? What?
Well, under state law, they're from the resources, either side. The state says if people are wanting to do something within 100 feet, what they do might impact, so they have to file. So you have state jurisdiction that way, and then under the local, they have it where they try to keep people 50 feet away from the edge of those resource areas and do not disturb. People move in, they do lawns, things change, but the original intent was leaving that area as a buffer zone. So that whole area there from the ditch stream with the wetland all the way up into your house falls under state jurisdiction.
Okay. So what you're saying is even between the 50 and the 100, you're saying that you're saying that I'm supposed to deal with the state on that.
It goes through conservation.
But didn't the driveway already fall through that already? And didn't that already go through that process?
Way back when I first went to this property, it was the old house that was there that I loved, that wooden thing with the blue tarp that had a toilet on the front lawn. I fell in love with that property. And they knocked it all down and put up the new house and everything. So they had a filing with conservation for knocking down that house, putting up this. What you see out there now is not what originally came through conservation. You know, we didn't have the garage. There wasn't the shed out back, on and on and on. So things changed through the years. You're coming now with wanting to do something with that driveway because you need more room. I think there's other ways you could modify that to get what you would like.
Okay, what would you suggest then? What is your suggestion on
Well,
that? then?
well, I don't know, and also the members already voted on this, but, you know, I mean, if you're realistic with figuring out, because, you know, that just looks so big, that area that you've got staked out. You know, you've got room to extend that driveway. Obviously, you've been working with that gorgeous red pickup truck, you know, to go that way forward behind your woodshed, maybe come out a little bit more, but I should have taken the tape measure and measured, but instead I was taking photos, just trying to get a feel for where that area was. And it's hard because it's a big area, big yard. You know, for maybe keeping it snuffed closer in and then turning it behind the woodshed, that's not
Okay.
as much impact.
Well, maybe it'd be nice enough to, at some point when you have a minute, we could take a walk and you can show me what you have in mind that would be
Sure.
not
And
objectionable.
If it's not too much winter, I can even show you some of those wetland plants out there.
I'd love to see it.
Bring your tape measure.
All right. Oh, I have
It's in
plenty.
my
of them.
car, 200 foot
Okay.
in my car.
Okay. All right. Thank you for coming in front of us, and yeah,
Yeah.
Janet will coordinate with you.
Okay.
And revisit the site, and then we can refile.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Janet.
Okie dokie.
Okay, next is 240-0635, 180 Union Street. Proposing in-ground pool. Is Mark on the line? I don't see anybody.
I don't either.
What's that?
Who's there?
Is somebody here for 180 Union Street? Okay.
David, if
And,
I may, because I had told you, I had gotten an email this afternoon from, oh, I'm gonna get her name wrong, Karen Skinner something, for Charles Pear. They turned in some more information. They emailed that to DEP this afternoon, so it was too late to come to conservation members. It's going up to DEP. So suggesting that we continue to the next meeting in December to see if they've covered what they needed to cover.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to continue 240-0635, 180 Union Street, notice of intent to December 9th at 7:15.
Alexandra Frere, I move to move the hearing for 180 Union Street to our December 9th meeting at 7:15.
Second?
I'll second. It's Fred.
Okay, roll call. Jim?
Aye.
Fred?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Val?
Aye.
Alexandra?
Aye.
Okay, and Dave Turi, aye. So it passes unanimous, and we'll hear this in December. Okay, that takes us to 136 North Street.
Good evening.
Notice of intent. And Ken, I see you there.
Good evening.
Owner.
Good evening, folks.
Good evening. Could you give us a quick overview of what you're proposing to do?
Thinking of putting up a barn here after about 40 some years. Large garage barn. Take down a fabric hut and replace it with a barn.
Okay.
Should have the plans in front of you.
Yep. Can you raise that up a little bit, Janet?
Not me.
Oh. I mean, Amy, yeah. So is this, okay, got it.
Can you
That's the wrong plan. This is Russ Waldron from AES.
Yeah, that's not me.
Yeah, that's the wrong plan.
Oh, that's the wrong plan. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I pull
That's a
up
pool.
one? I pulled
That's a
up
pool.
180.
Yep,
I'm
that's all
sorry.
right.
We need
Not a
136.
problem.
Let's see.
There we go. There you are.
Let me see how to rotate this.
Okay, blow it up, please. A little more. It's really the top right-hand corner that we're looking at, correct?
That's the correct. I'd say the bottom right-hand corner of my yard, but yeah, you're looking at the top right-hand corner of that plan. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, now, you're already within the
100.
100, correct?
Yep. Within the 100, correct. Yep. Yeah, we're right at the edge. Yeah, we're just inside the 100 there.
Okay.
And outside the 50. Quite a bit outside the 50.
Yep.
Yep.
And where is the shed going?
Right. If you can see the canvas shed where it says canvas shed.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, if you see the 30 going back, yeah, that's a back little guy back there. But you can see the green. The green is the green is the new barn coming back towards back towards the road, back towards North Street.
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll be taking down that 14 by 30 canvas shed that's been there for the last 40 years.
Okay. Janet, you're up first.
I'm up first. Good evening, sir, and thank you for letting me go out and taking some photos the other day.
You're welcome, Janet. That was you that came out. I thought it was you. Yeah.
Yep, that was me. Very
That was
cold
you.
out there.
Very that day. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so first question is, what's going to happen with the hut that you're removing?
I'm sorry, I can barely hear you, ma'am.
I'm sorry. The hut, the canvas shed that you're removing, is that going to the dump or something? What happens with that?
Yeah. I'll probably take it down the shop. I own Colonial Fence down on 115. So I'll
Okay,
probably just take it down my shop and throw it in the dumpster down there.
Okay, so that's going to be, I didn't know if it was going to be relocated on the site.
No, all disposed of. Yeah, I'll get
Okay,
rid of.
super.
Yeah.
It appears I'm working on the small stuff and getting up to the big stuff.
That's all right.
That the proposed barn is going outside of the envelope for the building setback line.
You're getting a little muffled, Janet.
Yeah, I couldn't hear her.
I don't have no idea where my microphone is on this. Your proposed barn is outside of the envelope for the building setback line.
Yeah, I was going to deal with Bob Bullock on that for a variance on that.
As long as you're aware of that. Okay.
Oh yeah, I saw it there. We may make it smaller. I may bring it in and bring it forward. I went for the larger one, and Bob knows about it, and he said, "Go for the bigger one. We probably won't have a problem with the variance." So I said, "Well, we'll go for 28 by 30. I may bring it down to 26 by 28 or 24 by 26, and then I can get it into the setback." So it's not set in stone. That it's price has got a lot to do with it, and prices are going up right now. So I may definitely be downsizing it. A lot of construction costs are going up, so we may go down to maybe 26 by 28, and that'll go down maybe to 26, and then I can get it into the and still not go to the rear setback. It'll still stay setback to setback, and I should be fine if I can do that.
Well, even if you just moved it forward where your existing canvas shed is, that would pull the rear end out of that.
Well, I can go forward and come up towards the house, towards the other woodshed there too. I've got a wall there, and I can put in a concrete wall there that would bring it closer to the road instead of staying, because I've got to stay with that rear setback also, which we're right at the corner of. That fabric hut is just barely over the rear setback. So the corner of the barn is right at the rear setback as it is right now. So to move it forward, I'd have to make it either narrower, which I can go down to 26 or maybe even 24. So
I just wanted you aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can make it big, and I can make it the right size to fit within the setbacks if for some reason I don't get the variance. But the neighbors and everybody around me are fine with the variance. They have no problem with doing that. And I don't.
But also don't forget, there's probably additional filing fees with going through different boards. So
yes, yep, aware of that. Yes, Janice. Yeah, I am, Janice. Thank you.
Okay, and then, I think between there and the next building, you're talking about cutting that little earthen embankment to get your barn in?
I still can't hear you.
I'm sorry. You were talking about excavating on the other side about a couple feet of the
Well, between the woodshed, there's a little, that's flat, right there where the barn is now. That's all flat. There's no excavation other than just for the foundation. But where that woodshed is there, that's shown right there coming towards North Street.
Yeah.
There's an embankment right there that rolls off, as you might have seen that right
Yeah.
there. That would just be where I wouldn't be excavating it, would be putting in a wall there to retain it, and that would be part of the foundation for the garage or the barn.
Okay, because they had it in the project description, will require excavating 2 feet into the embankment. And all this stuff you're not using, it's gonna be hauled away, but I was just wondering if they could mark somewhere on the plan an area for stockpiling, if they want to stockpile the soils or something somewhere. Just so
No,
if people
nothing.
have this,
No, there won't be any soil left on the site.
okey doke.
No, nothing left on the site. No.
And then they were talking about erosion controls. It just says proposed.
Nope, still can't hear you, Janice.
I'm
You
sorry.
turned away from the mic there, young lady.
Erosion controls.
People don't want to hear me.
Yeah, no, I'd love to hear you, but I'm hard of hearing. I'm hard of hearing anyway, but
On the back part of the plan, it says proposed silt sock.
yeah, I would put a silt sock across the back just because of there's pavement there and I just don't want anything going towards the back. So yeah, I would put the silt sock in there for sure.
But they just didn't give us any information, any details of how big or what they're using. So,
Janet, Russ,
That'd be a standard silk sock going in there.
yeah,
for building
typically it would be the Groundscapes Express, the 12-inch, I believe, their compost sock.
That's about what it is. Yep, yep.
okay, great, thank you. And then last,
And that would be all, Janet, that would be all in the building plans when I went to building. I talked to Bob and he said, let's get through you guys and see how we do. And if everything went through, all that would be in the building plans going to building department.
and now my best for last. Russ, did you get that email from DEP?
Me?
Russ Waldron, I saw him on the screen.
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you get that email from DEP?
DEP, no. I got
Okay.
the file number.
Okay, but I had it, yeah, they have the file number, but they also have comments because they're questioning about if it's in the 200-foot riverfront area. So,
The stream is way out there. You can't get to it.
well, oh, I have rats. I'll read the whole thing. Hard, my light, let me get my light. It said, although the numbers being issued, please note the following. Can you hear me okay? Stony
Yeah.
Brook is mapped perennial stream and based upon aerial imagery, it appears as though proposed work may occur within the 200-foot riverfront area. If applicable, the applicant should demonstrate the distance of the proposed project from the mean annual high water line of Stony Brook, revise the section, blah, 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 you know the drill. So we would need something, because when you look at Oliver, just from the little blue
You're
line.
fading away.
Yeah.
Janet, just look to your left when you're talking. Your mic seems to be on your left.
I've got two little spots, but I'm sorry. If you look at Oliver and they'll just going with the thin blue line for the water area, river, stream, whatever. When you do the measurements, it's within the 200 foot. So we're gonna need some sort of information giving backup of whether it's within that 200 foot or not.
Well, the only thing you can do is you either got to pull the distance off the Oliver site or try and pull it off the USGS because you cannot get out there. That's completely underwater. You know, that back section of the Stony Brook property is, you know, the stream comes in from the west and just disappears.
Well, when I
Till it
was out
goes over
there,
till it goes
Yeah, I
over
could get back there. Janet, I could get back there. I know I could probably get back in.
but when I was out there behind the equipment for the gravel apron on the end, and just getting over to the wetland flags, but that's it, you're hitting the water, and then there was Canada geese in front of me, so that's
Yeah,
as
going
far as
down
I
the brook.
went.
They're always in the brook there. Yeah, in the Stony Brook. So yeah, you were probably another 50 feet. So maybe 70, maybe 100.
Right, so
Uh,
riverfront has 200 foot, so that's our concern. That's the magic number for here. Somebody's got to let us know how far back that is.
So are you telling me within 200 feet you can't build?
No, 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 no. Then that
No.
has additional things that we have to look at, because they try to keep people away from the 0 to 100 or whatever. So where is that? Is it, is any of this property within that 200 foot? And then we take it from there. So the big question is, are we within the 200 feet? Yes or no?
For the
Russ
barn?
should be able to do that, right?
I'm sorry?
Russ can do that, right?
Oh, he gets big bucks. Yeah, Russ loves doing that.
Yeah.
I can take a walk back there.
I only have hip waders. I can't do that.
Yeah, there's a cart path that goes back. And I can't remember from being a kid going all back in around there, whether the stream is, comes in where it comes in under that cart path. But I could pace back along that from the barn site and maybe catch part of the stream as it comes through there. And
Yeah, from the 50-foot flag, you probably got another 50 feet to the edge of the brook. That's my guesstimate anyway, another 50 feet. So.
Oh, it's that close, you think?
Well, it's a guesstimate. It might be 75, but I know it's not 100 feet, I don't think, from the 50-foot mark, from the 50-foot blue flag that we have there now, from that 50-foot that we're staying away from. From there back to the brook is probably, I'm going to say 75, maybe. It's not 100, 150 feet. I know it's not way back.
Okay, I think, we should continue this and get some measurements and mark up the plans, and then we can,
how would that affect
information
it?
we need in front of us.
And how would that affect it?
Well,
David?
that's what the distance is.
And how would that affect it if it's 50 feet or 75 or whatever? If it's 50 feet, let's say, how would that affect the permit for the barn or the approval for the barn? If it's 50 feet, if it's 100 feet, another 50 feet from the 50-foot mark, how would that affect it?
Hypothetically, if it's 100 foot, then there is no impact, but if it's less than 100, there would be impact.
From the barn?
No, with David, with the riverfront, first of all.
From the riverfront.
It gets into when was this law in existence? Was it in existence before the riverfront or not? Normally with the riverfront, from the bank of that stream, river, whatever, 0 to 100 feet, they try to keep everybody out of.
Well, we're out of that. We're out of that. You're 100 feet minimum. You're 100 feet minimum from that river to where you got that 50-foot mark on this plan right now. That's 100 feet. You got 50 more from the blue flag back, at least 50. I can guarantee you that, and I'll measure. I can walk back there tomorrow and measure. I know that's at least another 50 from the blue flag.
That would be great. And then after that, it's from the 100 to 200. It gets into math, but you're allowed 10% of the riverfront of that whole lot. So the big thing is if you're outside the 100 foot, that's a big step forward. And then it gets into.
Oh, I know I'm outside the 100. Yeah, I'm 1,000% on that. I know I'm outside the 100. Yeah.
And then it gets into just calculate on the whole lot how much riverfront. Don't make me say 100. And then you want to use 10 feet. You're okay. They give you a certain amount that you can do. So first is where's that riverfront? Where's the bank?
From the corner of the barn to the riverfront's probably 125 feet to 150.
Good. So then it'll just be calculating what your impacts are with what you want to do.
Oh, yeah.
But that's part of what we have to turn in to show everybody.
Because when I saw that blue flag where it was a little farther towards my property than I thought it might have been. But because that farthest one, if you look at the others, the way it all kicks back in and around for the 50-foot buffer is because of that one or two blue flags there. And they kind of kick. Yeah, you can see how it comes around and then goes back again because it dries out. It's just in that one spot right there behind where the gravel area is, where it's always been just a little bit of wetlands right in there. Well, I should say the the wettest of the wetlands because it kind of at the edge of the riverbank back there is pretty wet. And both sides aren't too bad. You get on the other side of it when you cross the bridges back there that I've had always a couple of bridges for the last 40 something years, and my neighbor does to get across Stony Brook. And Stony Brooks, I built them for Stony Brook years ago, and I've maintained them ever since. And it goes back. So, but you go on the other side, and it's all the riverbank is dry edge. So it's only on this side right there where that blue flag is that you have that wetland area right in there from the brook. But where that flag is, that's definitely 75 feet to the edge of the brook.
Okay, doke.
So, yeah.
Well, so Russ will be out there for you doing that measurement for.
Sure, that'd be great.
Appreciate that.
That'd be great. Yep.
Any questions, comments from the commissioner?
Yeah, Janet, have we
Yes,
looked it just as a possibility so that the applicant is prepared? If it is within 200 feet of the riverfront, it'd be a good idea to know exactly how many square foot he's tearing down of permeable surface, of non-permeable, and how much he's adding back in. So any of the negative amount, he may have to take down a shed or,
Well, it's definitely within the 200. I can tell you that already.
so if that's the case, you want to be prepared because there's calculations about how many square feet of non-permeable surface you can have on your property when you're in a riverfront like this. So
Okay.
if you took down 100 square foot and added 100 square foot, you'd be okay.
Gotcha.
It's when you take down 50 square foot and add 100 square foot that you can possibly have an issue. Or you
Gotcha.
try to add driveway. So,
Yeah, no driveway added. None of that's added. No, we're not adding any of
But
that. And I know what you're saying. I know. Yeah, I got what you're saying. What's there now is 14 by 30. And I guess if I went down to, 26, 28 or 24 by 28 or something, we'd almost come close. We wouldn't be adding that much more anyway. So we'd try to get it down to a degree that wouldn't impact too much. But it would still be the 200 because it would, well, I'd have to check that because it's coming back towards the road. So that might not be the case.
Okay,
It's coming back up towards the road. There's the 100-foot buffer right there. So we got 100 right there. So there's 100. Well, no, it's still within the 200. Yeah, I'm sorry. It would still be because I know it's no more than 75 feet from there. So that would still be within because you got the 100-foot buffer there. So that's all the way from the blue. That's 100. So it's about 175 as a rough guesstimate. So that'd be 175. So it's still, yes, you're correct. It's still within the 200 feet. So I'd have to be careful with that then. And how would that go? I mean, if I'm adding more square footage of permeable, is that, or non-permeable, I should say, would that affect this? Is there a percentage of how much you can add over and above what you're taking down?
Well, we're probably just gonna have to go and reread the riverfront area, because I think if your lot was, and how
Can't
much
age
of
it.
this was already in existence before the riverfront area, they have allowances because
Yeah.
these things got added on through the years, they weren't around when maybe a lot of this stuff first went in, so.
Right. I mean, that's why this all been here for like 40 years. I mean, in the back there. And
Yeah, and I think it's 1996 maybe, don't quote me for the riverfront area, so.
August 1st, 1996.
when was it? 96? Yeah, this was like 82.
Yeah, what it is if your lot was in existence prior to August 1st, 96,
Mhm.
the alternatives analysis that you're required to do under the rivers regulations limits, the analysis is limited to just the lot, just your lot.
Okay.
This is all just regulatory language. And so what you're allowed is the threshold that you're allowed in the 100 to 200 foot riverfront is 5,000 square feet or 10% of the total riverfront area on your entire property, whichever of those two numbers is larger. So what we'll do is try and figure out the distance. I mean, if I can get out there and flag the bank,
yep,
I'll do that and have Kenny from Dunn McKenzie come back out and shoot the flags. That's the proper way to do it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And then they'll put it on the plan and they can calculate the total riverfront. And, you know, your barn right now is 840 square feet. So depending on what the total riverfront area for your property is, you're way under the thresholds, like way under them. You know, it's
Yeah.
5,000 or 10% of the total riverfront area. So you're only at 840 square feet. So, you know, you would have to have a really minuscule amount of riverfront area on your property. And if the stream bank is that close, you have no worries. You're winning.
Okay.
The area is already impacted. It's, you know, mostly impervious surface between the 3 buildings and the driveway. So, yeah, you won't have any problem as far as the riverfront goes.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yep.
Okay, so we will entertain a motion to continue 240-0636, 136 North Street to the December 9th, what is it?
9. Yep.
At 7:25. Motion?
Alan Finney, I make a motion, so moved.
Alexandra Fair, second.
Okay, roll call. Jim?
Aye.
Fred?
Aye.
Alexandra?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Val?
Aye.
Dave Turi? Aye. So we'll see you in December. Is that enough time, Russ?
Yeah, should be. Depends on the survey guys. They're pretty slammed, but yeah, it should be plenty of time.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, he'll get right out there for me. He'll get right over.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in front of us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and your effort.
You're welcome. Okay, let's go to 3 Cedar Road. Request for full CFC. What do you
This-
got, Janet?
This originally came through because it was going from, I think, cesspool to septic. So they got a partial because they did the septic. Nobody can hear me. I'm sorry. My volume's up and the septic was done, but they had problems that they didn't have enough growth yet. They had some erosion problems, so they got a partial. So now here, there's new homeowners. They've been working on the lawn. They had me go over and they had me not really notice that their dogs love digging holes in the lawn. So I understand dog digging holes versus erosion from it not being stabilized. So they've taken care of the erosion problem that was there. The grass has come up thick enough. So that is not a problem. The dog issue they have to deal with. So they're okay to get a full COC from us.
Okay. Is the landowner on? I don't believe so. Okay.
I don't think so, no.
Commissioners? Comments, questions? Do we have this paperwork, Janet?
I have it up on the screen here. I can show it.
Oh, well, but we have to sign it, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Okay. So, Janet, you're saying that they're in proper condition, that we could vote favorably on this?
Yes, I would recommend that.
Okay. So I'll entertain, if there's any questions, comments, then I'll entertain a motion for 3 Cedar Road, 240-0625 for a full certificate of compliance.
This is Fred, so moved.
Alexandra Fair, second.
Any other comments? Okay, do the roll call. Alexandra,
Aye.
Val,
Aye.
Fred,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Dave Turi, aye. It passes unanimously. So, yeah, we'll sign it and you can notify the owner. Okay, let's go on to the conservation restrictions, the enclave. Do you want to talk about this, Rich?
Don't have Rich.
You're on mute.
Sorry about that.
Do you want to share your screen?
I want to share my screen.
If you want to share the thing, I just quit Screen Connect by mistake, so I'd have to get connected again.
Yeah, I can. I mean, I can.
If you want to show the conservation restriction.
If we need to, I can share it. So
Okay.
so at the previous conservation last meeting, we talked about the enclave conservation restriction. And as we concluded that discussion, the commission seemed favorable to the conservation restriction placed on the enclave. The only thing at that point we were waiting for was the final language going through legal review from the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs, which we did receive after the meeting in the interest of moving things along through the approval process. I was before the select board last night to have them vote to agree on the conservation restriction for the enclave, which they did do. And they're going to come in and sign. We have the original conservation restriction in the office that will be signed off. And then once that's done at the local level, we'll let the state know, and then we can get their signatures electronically. Well, not electronically. They're going to send it to us by Federal Express, and then in turn we'll bundle all together to Mr. DePlacido, the manager of the enclave, to record at the Norfolk Registry of Deeds, and then give us a copy back. So everything is in order. I do know probably the one that you sent, I had to just accept all the changes in it. I know there was a page where the changes were fine, but yet the accept changes didn't happen. So I think it was approximately on page 6. So on the document that's being signed, we'll make sure that's in final form. But beyond that, everything else is in order. I know the question came up yesterday. So the enclave, the road name for the enclave is Avery Way. I did see the email from Donna in between the meeting earlier about changing the reference on the conservation restrictions. So on the top of the, and I can share my screen and show you. Just share the screen. So
What was the select board's comments on that?
that was actually wasn't. You mean on the? Oh
No, identifying the Avery Street.
Oh no, it was actually Donna Jones that asked the question: had the enclave had a road name given to it?
Yes.
Because on the plan that's within the conservation restriction, that's the base plan for reference. It just says Road A on it. But back in February of 2020, the select board approved Avery Way as the road name. So that's what she was talking about.
But the paperwork won't show that name. It would just show A.
Yeah, it's just going to show A because I don't have an updated road reference plan that was recorded, because that plan that you have was already recorded. But in the body of actually the at the beginning of the conservation restriction, the property reference, I changed it to the enclave land off of Avery Way, Norfolk, Mass.
Okay.
Before it had the village, the enclave off of Village Green Street. So just for the reference, the screen sharing isn't. You shut it off, screen sharing, Amy. I think. Yeah. I can't screen share at the moment.
Try it again. I was sharing still. I quit.
Oh, okay. All right. So just to show you right here, property address. Can you see the my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So right here in the property address, it said the Enclave land off of Avery Way, Norfolk, Mass.
Okay.
And then,
Now, this land is open to all residents of Norfolk, correct?
so the land is open to, yeah, although I will say it's a habitat area too. So, I mean, we want to be.
Yeah, but there's a trail there, so
But yeah, no, there is. I'll scroll down just for reference. Yeah, there is a trail off of Avery Way that goes through the woods, and part of the permitting. I'll just keep scrolling as I'm.
he's going to build a boardwalk out there to cross the wetland area.
Yeah, and they worked diligently with Janet back and really reduced that whole footprint. So it's I don't know if the commissions remember or not, but they made a very small, they minimized the footprint of the, I'm sorry, I'm scrolling through here.
Of the land, of the project?
Yeah, or the footbridge over the wetlands. They just
Yeah.
made it, so it's just comfortable. I think it's 4 feet, give or take, to get over the wetland area. It's not it was a much larger footbridge originally, the way it came in, but through sorry, scrolling down here. So I'm in Word. Actually, I might want to, well, it's kind of sideways. So I can go to my other presentation, but if you see this, can you see the cursor sliding across?
Yeah.
So the footpath will be from Juniper Lane all the way through the Enclave. I want to make sure I line it up right, but I don't do too well sideways. To Avery Road, Avery Way, sorry, for the public. So yes.
Okay. All right. So we need to make a vote on this. Comments, questions from the commission?
I have one because I've been out on the site several times. Is part of this pathway or it's been, construction has been worked on already, right? It's not out in the woods. So in other words, where it comes off of Juniper and then it goes up to Avery Way, that's going to be going through the back of some houses, right? Or a path?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be going through the houses. Let me pull the plan up. I could show you. See if we can zoom in a little better. See the dashed line there?
Yeah, that's good. I can, because all of the white area we see here with the houses, that's all dirt right now. That's just sand.
Right. So this is
the construct part of that.
Correct. The path will come off of basically just a little bit to the left of where Road A is, coming through here, down around, and through here.
Okay. I was just curious. He's going to be constructing a walkway or a pathway. So that's all I was curious about.
Okay.
And there's no parking on Avery for it, so people have to park on Juniper or in surrounding areas if they wanted to take their little walk, if they weren't residents.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the overall intent, correct, you're right. I mean, the overall intent was to really be a pathway for the existing Village Green neighborhood.
Mhm.
Although I suppose, you know, unless they chase you out, but see, there are parking spaces right here.
For visitors, yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't tell them you're visiting to walk on the pathway or visiting somebody there, maybe they won't know, but you have to keep that between yourself and the future resident. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless they watch this video, but
Watch this video.
well, I mean, they might go back to this tape. I just said something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
The residents in that area are pretty laid back, so I don't think they'll have a problem.
Oh, I wasn't thinking the residents of Village Green. I'm thinking the new residents
Oh.
within.
Oh, yes. Right.
future residents. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll accept a motion to accept the conservation restriction for the enclave.
Alan Finney, I make a motion to accept the conservation restrictions for the enclave.
Is there
Alexander Fair, second.
any other questions or comments? Donna? Okay.
Thank you very much for addressing it, Rich.
You're welcome.
Did you catch the second spot towards the bottom where it said Village Green Street?
I got to do a little more homework. I'll catch the other one.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thanks, Donna. Okay, roll call vote. Jim?
Aye.
Fred?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Alexandra?
Hi.
Val?
Aye.
Dave Turri, aye. It passes. Conservation restriction 6567 Myrtle Street. And this is the Walter County trustee
Yes.
on behalf of the Pelican Development. Want to give an explanation, Rich?
Sure. So let me, I'm gonna go back to
They're giving us about 2 acres of land or under conservation restriction.
so this one here it's really, the purpose of this restriction is really to protect the
Natural heritage.
yeah, the woodland from future development. And it's really, you know, it was, well, I shouldn't say it was permitted as an estate lot through the planning board, which you can't, I suppose anything could happen. I suppose the town could change the bylaw, but the intent of the permit of an estate lot is that you can't further subdivide it at all.
Right.
So just as an extra level of protection, the rear portion of the lot would be the area subject to the restriction. So I'll just scroll down just to give you so I put in this red dash line, which represents this, essentially that rear portion of the lot, which is, let's see if I zoom in, it tells me what we got. You know what, that's not the right, that's the total lot size, 190,000.
On the paperwork, it says 93,105 square feet. Plus or
That's it.
minus.
Yep, thank you. That helps me out. Yes, so that was the intent of it. So just like the previous one, these were going simultaneously. Made the same presentation to the select board last night. They did vote to approve this conservation restriction.
Okay. Janet, any questions, comments?
Nope.
Okay, commissioners?
What is the rare species that's involved there?
We told you we'd have to kill you.
No, there aren't any with this, Jim.
It's a habitat, not
species.
Oh, okay, because it said,
White-tailed deer.
okay, because it said priority habitat of rare species. I was just wondering if there was one
yeah, with
there, or it was,
I don't know. I don't know what's, I don't know.
It
I know-
wasn't, was it natural heritage, Rich?
Yeah, it was the habitat.
I'm sorry, yeah, I don't know if we say out loud, Eastern Box Turtle, which is down at Ariana Lane. Ariana Lane, you know, the other subdivision going in. So same thing, that whole subdivision had to do, protection of the land in the back, just for habitat areas for that, Eastern Box Turtle that likes to travel. So this is still that same waterway. They're
Okay.
cute things. Look for them in June.
Any other questions, comments from the commission?
It's Fred, Rich, just as a reminder, this is those 3 lots and 2 of the houses are built. And this would be behind the one that isn't built yet. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay, I'll accept a motion accept the conservation restriction for 6567 Myrtle Street.
Alexandra Farr, I move to accept the conservation restriction for 6567 Myrtle Street.
Fred LaBerge, second.
Thank you. Any other comments? Any other comments from the audience? Okay, then we'll take a roll call. Alan?
Aye.
Val?
Aye.
Alexandra?
Aye.
Fred?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Dave Turi? Aye. It's passed. We accept it. Moving right along, Lawrence Street Bridge, there's nothing we have to do. The DEP issued this 3-year extension already. So it's out of our hands. We don't need to take any action, correct? Janet?
You're correct, sir.
Okay, I think everybody saw the notice about the Eversource acquiring Columbia Gas. Really doesn't interfere with us, but just so you're aware of it. We talked about recreation. Is there any other thing somebody wants to bring up before we look at the review and pass the minutes? Okay, then let the minutes of October 14th. Has everybody read them? The one thing I do have under new old business is Sam Evans' project in the Cunday Woods. He installed some bird boxes in the open area and he painted them red and also painted the benches that were already there. He did not install benches. So if you could make that kind of correction, Amy?
Yes, I will.
So he put in benches.
No, they were there.
Oh, they were there?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll fix that.
thank you. Any other comments, questions? Everything else looked as discussed. So if no comments or questions, I'll accept a motion to accept the minutes of October 14th, 2020.
Alexandra Farr, I move to accept the minutes from October 4th, 2020 with the note David mentioned.
Jim Wilson, second.
Okay, we take everybody in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Passes unanimously. Other than that, I don't have anything. Is there anything else anybody wants to bring up?
How'd the wood chips come along, Dave? That all done?
They're in process. More tomorrow.
Still tomorrow? Okay.
Didn't he say that last time?
Yeah, I thought he did.
I'll trade you for the water bill.
Oh,
Dave, speaking of wood chips, Dave, I did notice that they've been all spread on the trail at Campbell Forest. It looks really good.
Yeah, as far as they go. A lot
Yeah,
more-
weight goes in maybe a half a mile or so.
Yeah, since I can't get in there at this point, yeah, it'll be in the spring, we'll continue that. But I think the other thing is Lynn Forest will be our project for 2021 to bring that up to usable use. by people wanting to walk in for mountain biking. No motorized. And we'll probably try to get in some parking spaces. Oh, Rich left already. Because we have property close to them on Marshall Street across the street from Lynn Forest. And it's a potential place where we could put a parking lot, have the entrance going into Lynn Forest, and you don't have to go by the lazy loopers. Okay, then I will, if nothing else, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Was that Donna?
Yes, I had a question.
Yes, ma'am.
If a tree is down over the path in Harold Campbell Forest, should I report it?
Yes.
Boom.
Call the office. Is there another tree down?
I don't know if it's another one, but I could walk from North to Alice Ave.
Yeah.
But at some point, if I had wanted to go right, not towards Alice, there was a tree down.
You're supposed to leap over it.
Well, I could have.
Part of your exercise program. Yeah, call the office and we can get it checked out. But the Lions had gone in there and cleaned up all the rest of them about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago. But with all the wind that we've had, I wouldn't be surprised that there are trees down.
Thank you
for bringing that to our attention. I need your ATV, Alan.
Yeah, I bought another toy.
Well, give me that one so I can go through trails.
Ernie has one. He lives right across the street from you.
He has a tractor.
That's what I bought.
Yeah, no, I want your ATV.
Oh, no problem. I got to register it first.
Your four-wheeler. Okay.
Is that, does a sign that is gonna go up say no motorized vehicles?
That's the
Yeah,
sign.
but I have an exclusion.
Or if it's a town vehicle, it's allowed. It's the water department. They brought big trucks back there for drilling.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. So let's make a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Good, Fred.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Nay. It passes. I adjourn this meeting of November 4th. Thank you very
Good night,
much.
all.
Thank you. Good night,
Call the
everyone.
meeting.
Hey,
Have stuff
David,
signed?
Yes.
I gotta
Can you
see
send
a
it?
picture of the kids at the trail.
Oh, great.
That's the benches.
That looks new, that bench.